Yo, yo, yo. This is Candy B Knittin. I'm Candy B. I be knitting. And today I thought I'd talk about just giving you a kind of update on everything that I'm working on and where I'm at with things. No really specific topic. I do want to talk a little bit about what I call knitting chores, the things that are my are either tangentially related to knitting that just need to get done, or things that aren't so fun about actually knitting. But in general, I'm just going to kind of go through everything I have on my plate right now. And first, this is my simple sweater by TinCanKnits. And last time y'all saw me, I had put the sleeves on hold. The sleeves are still on hold. And I was working the body, and I have since finished the body. And this is a drop down circular yoke pattern by TinCanKnits. I'm doing the 38-inch bust, and the body is knit to one's own liking. And I usually do about 10 to 12 inches on my body because I am personally short-waisted. I have a larger chest, larger hips, and so I like my sweaters to end somewhere around my natural waist, and so that gives me about 10 to 12 inches. And then I do like to do I usually like to do like 2 to 3 inches of ribbing on the bottom, but I thought with the thinner stripes, these stripes are about an inch long, so I went kind of similarly. Actually, let me go over here. Similarly on the ribbing for the body, and it's just a 1x1 ribbing. And so the next thing I'm gonna do is continue the sleeves now that I finished the body, because my goal with this is, well, one, I just wanted just a simple sweater on the needles, but two, I wanted to use up, this is all Knit Picks palette yarn, and I wanted to use as much of this as possible and kind of, stash bust, if you will. And so I went and did as many stripes as I could on the body, and now I'm going to go into the sleeves. And I'm thinking, I like my sleeves about bracelet length, because I do like to roll up my sleeves quite a bit, and I don't like, the extra bulk down here, and I also don't like getting my sleeves dirty, so if I'm writing or rubbing my arm against something, I usually like my sleeves right up above here. And so I'll probably go just about to the wrist bone. Actually, I'll probably go 2 inches short of the wrist bone, and then I'll start my ribbing and then end it right about there. And then this is my usual look. And this is where we're at here. And for the uninitiated, I'm having my kids pick the striping pattern. My only requirement is that the stripes on the sleeves match, but the sequence of the stripes has been 100%, except for this ribbing, because I have the most of this green yarn, so I am using this green yarn to kind of tie the whole look together. And so they'll start to pick the stripes again, and then I'll probably maybe get 3 or 4 more stripes and then start decreasing and going into my wrist, and then the entire wrist is going to be this kind of appley green yarn. I am excited about this. It's funny because this is pretty much all, I've been spending most of my knitting time on this sweater, and usually I've shied away from garments because I used to find them quite tedious, but the whole purpose behind starting this is, one, for Christmas I got a ChowGoo interchangeable needle set, and I wanted to cast something on using it to its full capabilities, and I feel like a sweater is a project where you really can use the full breadth of the tools. And two, I needed something. So yesterday, okay, for the 30 people that are watching this, one person will understand that yesterday, January 26th, a little game called Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth came out. And so my original plan was over Christmas break to just get the sweater started and do my raglan increases, and then I would have the whole body to work on while I played this game, because I've been waiting a long time for this game and I want to spend a lot of time playing this game. And for the uninitiated, I have several other hobbies, but my main hobby before I started knitting, I was very much into gaming, and kind of fell off with it, having kids and all that kind of stuff. And Like a Dragon 6, when that came out, that one just rocked my world because I was getting firmly back into gaming and I had learned to knit. And it's the perfect game to knit and play because it has like the most cinematic cutscenes. And so I don't even mind sitting through a cutscene and I just do my little knitting. And it's really nice to have a nice stockinette project, a stockinette in the round project, because I can put it down pretty much at any point. I don't have to get to the end of a row. And so that was my big plan for this, but now I'm done with the body. I don't necessarily want to work on sleeve decreases while I'm playing, because then I have to count rows and all that kind of stuff. So if this is incorporated into my gaming time, I'm probably going to use that time, my cutscene time, to start weaving in ends. And a lot of people are not fans of weaving in ends. I'm not going to say, oh, weaving in ends is so fun, it's so great, and everyone should love it. But at the same time, I have grown to appreciate it. I used to resent a lot of things that weren't solely knitting related, like blocking and weaving in ends, and swatching is knitting, but it's not knitting the final project, and stuff like that. I just want to get into the project and do whatever I'm doing. But the thing that changed that for me is I want to say it was someone on Instagram, or I'm sure many people, no, it wasn't Instagram. I was reading an article, I think, and the person said, think of all the finishing you do when you're knitting, the weaving in ends, the blocking, the making sure, the measuring and measuring again, and making sure everything is to your liking, and really thinking about all that kind of stuff. That should be half of your knitting time. Like, as much time as you spend actually knitting the project should go into making sure the project is finished properly. And once I got that mind shift, because I used to be like, oh, I'm almost done with the sweater, all I have to do is finish the sleeves, and it's like, no, that's not all I have to do. I have to weave in all these ends. I have to block it. If it doesn't block to my liking, I might have to unravel some things and redo some things, and that's okay. But it's worth the time, and it's gonna take that amount of time. And so it's kind of like I had to change my mindset and kind of mentally prepare myself for some of those things. So I don't mind weaving in ends because I know that it's what's going to make my knitting worthwhile. Like, I don't want to sit here and spend 6 weeks to 2 months knitting a whole sweater and then at the end just kind of phone it in with the finishing touches, and then it's like, it's good, but it could have been a little bit better, And so I do plan on spending some of my gaming time starting to weave in these ends. And because I also, something I've mentioned before, I was reading Elizabeth Zimmerman's book. She talks about weaving in ends. Like, this is all Knit Picks palette held double. So each of these are a 2-ply yarn. So it's held double, 2-ply yarn. So there's 4 plies, and she talks about unplying the yarn and weaving in the individual plies of yarn to get it as invisible as possible. And I'm going to get the yarn into each of these colors. And so it's pretty seamless. Obviously, you're going to see the purl ridge because this is knit in the round, but the overall look in the end is a sweater that is completely reversible, and I do think it's just as compelling inside out as it is right side out. It just adds a little bit of more of a graphic touch when you have the purl bumps where the color changes are. And then you got the underarms and all that. I do know there are methods to weave in as you go, but to me, that just, I don't like to interrupt my knitting time, so I just go, knit. And then I like to save it all because then I can be in the mindset that I'm weaving in ends. And I've done that where I think I worked on a blanket with a bunch of color changes. And rather than weave in as I go, at the very end, I poured myself a glass of wine, put on a movie. And by the end of the movie, all the ends were woven in and my brain was already in kind of weave in ends mode, as opposed to knitting and then, okay, let me weave this in. Knitting, let me weave this in. I feel like I personally work better that way. And I already know that's what I'm doing. It's not like, oh, damn, I gotta weave in those ends tonight. It's like, oh, no, I made a whole plan for this. And this is where my brain is set up. And this is where I'm going to be. And if it takes shorter than I thought it would. It's a little treat for myself, but I've already mentally prepared myself that I'm doing this thing. The other thing, was it was 2 weeks ago. I talked about some of my favorite tools, and I forgot to mention one of my favorite knitting tools is a crochet hook. I cannot crochet, but I like a tapestry needle, and I showed y'all the needle that I like to weave in ends, but I also I use a crochet hook a lot of times. Crochet hooks take a little bit longer to me, but I can really get into the stitches and really get a nice look, and I like the flow. And sometimes when I'm holding the needle, my hand can cramp up a little bit, but using the crochet hook, something about that feels fairly ergonomic to me. And I have a bit of a collection of small steel crochet hooks that I use just for that purpose of weaving in ends. And not only weaving in ends, I like to use it to fix drop stitches as well. I find that that's the easiest way to fix drop stitches, and so it just comes very natural to me. Crocheting doesn't come natural to me, but somehow using a crochet hook, and there's also methods of binding off that use crochet hooks, and so I really do appreciate a good size crochet hook. Like if I see a 1 millimeter, half millimeter crochet hook, like any small crochet hooks, I'm always buying them because they are indispensable to me. And so that is this sweater, and these are my ends. And this is the back neck, and then you reset the side seam, so you reset the end of round so it's on the side, and so I have all these ends here. There's also a method where you can French braid all of these together and then just snip off the ends. I don't want that bulk. I really do want it, and like I said, I think it's going to be kind of cool to be able to wear it inside out, and so I'm not going to do that. But it is a valid method because this is a non-superwash wool, so it's not really going to go anywhere. So that's that. I do want to show y'all just a couple of other things, and then I'm going to get out of your hair because I do want to get back to my game. My first finished object of the year, I finished one sock for Mr. Rulud. He would like these to be his Valentine's Day gift. And I think I finally cracked the code. This is the 4th pair of socks I've knit for him. And as far as the width goes, the length, he likes some nice ribbing at the top. He wants it to feel secure on his ankle, but not too tight. So I've been doing this is a 4-inch 2x2 rib. This is a garter stitch heel flap, and then just vanilla Kitchener toe at the bottom. And this is Stephen West free stock pattern. And it turned out so far that this is the best one so far for his foot. And I don't know if it's just how I knit this, or I've just gotten better at knitting for him, or, but I think I'm going to stick with this pattern for at least the next couple of pair of socks before I try any other things, because I did do the toe up Flegel heel sock, and I don't know if I ever showed that, but it was a bit of a bear for me, and I tried to do it magic loop, and I did it toe up, and he liked them, but his reaction wasn't like, oh my god, this is so great and wonderful. And so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go out of my way to, I'm gonna keep knitting my socks the way I like to knit them. I'm so happy because it's like Stephen West pattern that I really enjoy, and I do them top down on DPNs, and that's my preferred way of knitting socks, and so I'm pretty happy about this. As far as the color goes, this is a knit Picks Felici in the color Fruit Punch. So it's like a purpley pink. It's got some, kind of, I call it grape, maybe, like a grape popsicle, not an actual grape. I think Fruit Punch is pretty accurate color. And yeah, he'll have these for Valentine's Day. Yeah, a nice, he doesn't like them super long. This is a good width for him, especially when you consider the fact that once ribbing stretches out, it shortens. And so this is probably a mid height sock for him. And it's a winner chicken dinner. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to keep going. He wants 7 pairs of socks, one for each day of the week. And so I think I owe him 3 pairs of socks after that. And I'm really delighted that we found a pattern that works for both of us. Yeah, this is the Stephen West pattern. The other thing I think is that works well for this pattern is that Stephen West, usually when I see sock patterns, well, free sock patterns, it's usually 64 stitches, 68 stitches, 72 stitches. And he actually does some other numbers. Like I think this is, I would usually do an 80 stitch sock for Mr. Rulude, and this is 76 stitches, and I usually don't see 76 stitches in traditional patterns. And so I think that that's why it works a little bit better, because he has, he's got 11 and a half feet. I don't remember what size shoe he wears, but he's flat-footed. He's lost a lot of weight. And so there's been some fluctuation with his foot size and his foot shape, because I feel like I did some measurements and we have some very similar measurements on our feet, but his feet are just longer than mine. And so it is a bit tricky, but I'm really glad we found something that works for both of us. The other thing I wanted to keep y'all up on is I am just chugging away. I've been double knitting these straps for my super secret crop top by Jessie Maed. And the pattern says you can make I-cord straps. I wanted to make double knit straps, and it is taking forever. This is not fun for me, but I want the finished product, or I guess I could say finished project. And I just, whenever I'm at work and I have a little bit of a lunch break, I've been taking them in the car with me, and just, soon. They're about maybe 12 inches now, and I need them to be about 22 inches. As I get closer to terminal length, I'll start measuring them more. And I don't know if I've ever shown y'all the actual crop top. I'm going to wear this as kind of like a bralette. And so once the straps are done, I can just sew the straps on. But this might be one of my longest, it took me probably 2 weeks to knit the actual top, but it's taking me months. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we got to the 12-month mark and I was just sewing these on. I think I started this in whenever people were talking about summer knit patterns, it might have been like June or July of last year, and I knit this on my lunch break within a couple of weeks. And then it's been, for a moment I bought some fabric that I thought I was going to make straps out of. Then I was like, no, I'm going to knit them. And then I taught myself to double knit, and it's just been a thing and a slog. So maybe I'll add that to my repertoire while I'm playing Infinite Wealth, and it'll make it go by a little bit faster. But jeebless. And then last but certainly not least, another long-term project. This is an intentionally long-term project. This is Kagan's Quilt by Carolyn Bloom. And I wanted just kind of like a big blanket project that I could pick up throughout whenever, I cast off the body of that sweater, and I didn't really have anything else to work on. So I was like, let me throw on another square in my quilt. I have these squares that I've blocked so far. This is Hobbie's Happy Place, the Tony Lipsy yarn. And since I last seen y'all, I figured out what shape I want to do and in what colors I want to do it. And I have 11 different colors of this yarn, and so I had to weigh it, figure out how much each square makes, and then figure out what my layout is going to be. And so I did all these half and half. It's half the melange color, half the solid. And now I need to make each square in solid is what I decided to do next. And then I need to make more of the half melange, half solid, so that in the end, it's going to be a star. And each of these solid squares will have the point of the star coming off of it. And then this melange color will kind of look like the background of the star. That's what I'm imagining in my head. More to come. And I started on my solid squares because I was like, okay, now I know what pattern I want to do. And now I'm on the green solid. Then I got to do the red solid. And then I got to do more half melange, half solid. And so I'm just I really wanted something where it wasn't like, oh, I need to race and I need to, compete with myself and da 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 da. It's been working very well for that. I am gonna probably get into a mood where I don't want anything else on my needles, and I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna finish this blanket, and then I'll finish it in a couple months. But for now, I'm just glad to pick up a square every once in a while and do a square. The squares are done with short row shaping, and so this is one triangle, and then you start picking up the short rows, and then that makes another triangle. Nothing terribly revolutionary, but then this pattern also comes with some different motifs. So one square is going to be a traditional, like, I guess you would call it a Missouri star type situation, but then the other squares have other short row shaping that create some other motifs that are going to be pretty interesting. And so that's that. That's all I got for y'all this week. Do y'all have anything y'all are working through? Do you have like your knitting chore time where it's like, okay, today I'm sitting down and I'm weaving in ends. Today I'm sitting down and I'm just swatching for this project. All that kind of stuff. Do you play video games? Do you have infinite wealth, like a dragon, infinite wealth? Fun fact, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, I have my spinning wheel, my Asher Traditional, is actually named Ichiban Kasuga, which is the name of the main character. That's where that name comes from. If you've been following my Instagram, like, why is her spinning wheel called Ichiban? Why is she called me Ichiban? It's because that's my favorite game, and it's a game that I associate with my knitting. And so it's so great when two great things come together. So if you play video games, let me know. What consoles do you have? What games do you play? What other hobbies do you have? And how do you incorporate knitting into your other hobbies? Let me know. Once again, this is candibknittin. I'm Candy B, candibknittin@gmail.com. Or you can hit me on the Instagrams. I'm at Rulude on Instagram. I've had a couple of people actually find me on Instagram, which was pretty cool. I got to chat with people who are like, oh, I watch your YouTube. And I'm like, oh, you do? Oh, God. I'm sorry. But until the next time, peace.